Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a single, huge source text, one that shaped, well, not just war, but business, politics, you name it. We're talking about Sun Tzu's The Art of War.
It's one of those books, isn't it? Everyone quotes it.
Oh, but do they really get it?
That's our mission today. We're not just summarizing. We're going to cut right to the core principles of strategy, the really surprising history behind it all, and this radical focus on the sheer cost of conflict.
A shortcut to understanding why it's still so relevant.
Exactly. Whether you're running an army or, I don't know, a tech startup.
Okay, so let's start with the man, Sun Tzu. He was from the state of Qi.
Right. And his story really kicks off when he gets an audience with King Ho Lu of Wu, and he brings along his 13 chapters, The Art of War.
And this leads to maybe the most infamous story in the entire history of strategy.
The test. You got it.
Cool.
King Ho Lu was, let's say, skeptical of all this theory.
He wanted a practical demonstration.
A very practical one. He says, okay, apply your principles to these 180 palace women.
That's a challenging group to turn into soldiers.
You could say that. So Sun Tzu divides them into two companies, and he puts the king's two favorite concubines in charge of them.
As the officer?
As the officers. He gives them simple commands, front, back, right, left. He gives the order, and they just laugh. They don't do a thing.
And this is the moment, isn't it? This is where his theory gets very real.
It gets terrifyingly real. He has the two concubines, the leaders, executed on the spot.
Wait, he actually executed them?
He did, just like that, to establish what he called the rule, to show that orders are absolute.
Wow. I can't imagine how the king reacted.
The Ho Lu was horrified. He begged him to stop. But Sun Tzu basically says, look, if the orders are clear and the troops don't obey, it's the officer's fault. After that, he appointed new leaders, and the women performed every maneuver perfectly.
So the king saw that if he could discipline them, he could definitely handle an actual army.
And he made him a general. It's this brutal foundational lesson. Strategy means nothing without absolute internal discipline.
But hold on, that seems incredibly harsh. Especially when you read the text later, and he lists benevolence as a key virtue for a commander. How do you square that circle, that brutality, with benevolence?
That is such a key question. I mean, the execution isn't about cruelty for its own sake. It's about preventing a much bigger disaster, an undisciplined army that leads to the whole state being ruined.
So it's a calculated act.
It's a calculated act to enforce the rule of law in the command structure. Benevolence is for the people, for your troops when they're under pressure, but for the chain of command, zero tolerance for failure.
That makes more sense. Now, what about the man himself, Sun Tzu? He's a bit of a mystery, historically speaking.
He is. Sima Jiang gives us that biography, the one with the concubines, but the main contemporary record, the TSO Chuan, doesn't mention him at all.
So we're not even sure he was a real person.
Well, it makes things tricky. We have to look at the text itself for clues. And the internal evidence is actually pretty compelling.
What does it tell us?
The book talks a lot about the rivalry between the states of Wu and Yu. They're presented as these arch-enemies. This suggests it was written after another state, Chu, had been defeated around 506 BC.
Which made Yue the new primary threat to Wu.
Exactly. So we can place the writing of these chapters, pretty confidently, somewhere between 505 and 496 BC, right around the end of King Ho Lu's reign.
So the ideas are from that period, even if the author is a little shadowy.
The ideas reflect that world, a world of constant high-stakes warfare, which is why Sun Tzu says right at the beginning, this is a matter of life and death, a road to safety or to ruin. You can't neglect it.
And to handle those stakes, he says you have to start with calculation, the laying plans chapter.
Yes, these 5 constant factors. You have to weigh them before you do anything else.
Okay, what are they?
First is the moral law. Are the people in sync with their rulers? Second, heaven. The weather, the seasons, day and night.
Natural conditions.
Third is earth, the terrain, the distances. Fourth is the commander himself, his virtues like wisdom, courage, strictness.
And the fifth?
Method and discipline. Basically your logistics, your supply chain, the organization of your army.
It's amazing how quickly he goes from this high-level theory to the nuts and bolts of logistics, the sheer cost of it all.
This is what makes it so revolutionary. He's obsessed with the economy of war. He's not about glory, he's about expediency. He lays out the cost in brutal detail. 1,000 ounces of silver per day.
Just for a major campaign? And what about the people back home?
That's the real cost. He calculates that an army in the field can disrupt the work of 700,000 families.
700,000, That's national
Yeah.
paralysis.
It's total economic collapse,
Yeah.
widespread suffering. He's basically saying that going to war is, by its very nature, a failure of resource management.
Which leads to one of his most famous and kind of counterintuitive lines.
Stupid haste is preferable to clever dilatoriness.
Right. A quick, messy win is better than a long, drawn-out, brilliant campaign.
Because that long campaign, no matter how clever, will bankrupt you. It will bring calamity. It's like in business, right? The competitor who gets a decent product to market in year 2 beats the genius who spends 10 years perfecting something but goes broke doing it.
So win cheap and win fast.
And to do that, you have to forage. Live off the enemy's supplies. His math is ruthless on this.
What's the ratio?
1 cartload of the enemy's provisions is worth 20 of your own.
20? Why so high?
Because it's not just the food. It's the cost of your entire supply chain. The carts, the guards, the time it takes to get it from your home base to the front line. The best strategy is the one with the shortest logistical tail.
So if the biggest concerns are bankruptcy and logistical collapse, then the ultimate strategy has to be one that avoids those costs completely.
You've hit it. That's where it gets to his main idea. Supreme excellence.
Then supreme excellence is...
breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting.
Wow. So the battle itself is actually a sign of failure.
It's an admission that your strategy wasn't good enough. This turns the whole book from a combat manual into, really, a guide on how to win through superior preparation.
And he lays out a kind of hierarchy for this.
A very clear one. In Attack by Stratagem, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. Stop them before they even start.
What's next best?
To prevent their forces from uniting. Isolate their allies. After that, you attack their army in the field.
And the worst.
The absolute worst thing you can do, if you could avoid it, is to besiege a walled city. It's slow, it's costly, and it just bleeds your army dry.
Okay, so winning without a fight is the goal. But you need a tool to do that. If it's not violence, it has to be. What, perception?
Deception. It's the bedrock of the whole system. He says it plainly. All warfare is based on deception. You have to manipulate what your opponent sees and thinks until they basically defeat themselves.
And he gets pretty specific on how to do that.
Very specific. When you're strong, appear weak. When you're ready to attack, seem inactive. When you're close, make them think you're far away.
It's all psychological warfare.
Pure psychological warfare. Make them arrogant, make them angry.
Yeah.
You want them to make mistakes. Costly, emotional mistakes.
And this ties into his ideas about energy, right? The direct and indirect methods, Cheng and CHI.
Right, and this might be the most valuable concept for anyone today. Cheng, the direct method, is what you show the enemy. It's the obvious move. It's the frontal assault, the declared strategy. It's what you use to engage them.
To fix their attention.
Exactly. And while they're focused on that, you use CHI, the indirect method.
The surprise.
The surprise, the flanking maneuver, the unexpected move that actually secures the victory. In business, Cheng is your main product. CHI is the disruptive new pricing model that your competitor never saw coming.
So it's the combination of the two that's powerful.
It's their interplay. He says they're like the 5 musical notes or the 5 primary colors.
Yeah.
There are only a few, but their combinations are endless.
And they feed each other.
They lead onto each other, like moving in a circle. Your brilliant indirect move today becomes the enemy's new direct focus tomorrow. So you always have to be creating a new surprise.
That's a great metaphor for just constant adaptation. He uses another one with water.
Yes, that strategy should be like water. It avoids the high ground and flows down to the low ground.
So avoid what's strong.
And strike at what's weak. Your army, like water, should have no constant form. It should flow and adapt to the shape of the enemy.
Which leads to that great line about skill.
Oh, it's a classic. A skillful attacker is one whose opponent doesn't know what to defend, and a skillful defender is one whose opponent doesn't know what to attack.
Because you're formless, they can't calculate those 5 factors against you.
Exactly. You've become unpredictable.
So if strategy is that fluid, the general needs a lot of autonomy. What does Sun Tzu say about the relationship between the general in the field and the sovereign back home?
This is critical. He lists 5 essentials for victory, and maybe the most important is the principle of non-interference.
Don't meddle with the general.
Do not meddle. The general with military capacity, who is not interfered with by the sovereign, will win. Decisions have to be made on the ground, in the moment.
That's a huge amount of delegated authority for that time.
It's massive.
Yeah.
He even says, if you know a fight will lead to victory, you must fight, even if the ruler forbids it.
And the reverse.
If you know the fight will lead to defeat, You must not fight, even if the ruler commands it. Your duty is to the outcome, to safety or ruin, not to blind obedience.
And a huge part of that calculation is the ground itself, the terrain.
It's fundamental. You have to know the mountains, the rivers, the marshes. You have to use local guides. He outlines 9 different types of ground.
9. That's a lot.
Aspersive, facile, contentious, they all have names. But the key is that each one dictates a specific strategy.
Can you give an example?
Sure, on desperate ground, that's ground where there's no escape, he says you must fight.
Because there's no other option.
Right. The terrain itself creates the conditions where your soldiers will prefer death to flight. It forces them to fight with maximum effort. The ground makes the strategic choice for you.
And to make any of these choices, to do any of this planning, you need one final thing, above all else, intelligence.
Foreknowledge, he calls it, knowing the enemy's disposition. And he's very clear. You don't get this from spirits or from calculations. You get it from other men.
From spies.
Only from spies. It's the only way to get the information you need to win without fighting.
He actually makes a moral case for espionage, doesn't he?
He does. He says it's inhumane not to use spies.
Inhumane.
Because if you're too cheap to pay for good intelligence, the war will drag on longer, causing immense suffering for your own people. So not using spies is a moral failure.
So espionage is actually the responsible choice.
Economically and morally, yes. And he breaks them down into 5 types. Native spies, inward spies, converted spies.
Wait, what's a converted spy?
That's an enemy spy that you've turned. You're using their own asset against them. And here's the crucial detail. He says you must treat that converted spy with the utmost liberality. Pay them well, treat them with respect, then they'll give you everything they have.
We've covered a lot of ground here. The man, the economics, the deception, but it seems to me the core of the art of war is really about avoidance, economy, and knowledge.
I think that's a perfect summary. Preparation, speed. He says rapidity is the essence of war, and of course that famous line, know yourself and know the enemy.
If you bring it all together, the vision of a great general isn't some bloodthirsty warrior at all.
Not at all. It aligns with this older Chinese idea of the sage, someone who only uses weapons to punish violence and bring peace. As one commentator, Tosao, put it, the sage keeps the peace and only moves his forces when necessity absolutely drives him to it.
So bringing this home for you, the listener, what does all this mean in your life?
Well, if Sun Tzu says the highest form of victory is winning without a fight, then maybe your best weapons are preparation and positioning. Think about the conflicts in your life. A contract negotiation, a family argument, a political disagreement.
With daily battles.
The daily battles. How many of them could you resolve or even avoid entirely just by mastering superior preparation, by using those indirect CHI methods, by knowing the terrain so well that you sidestep the fight altogether? That's how you win the war without ever drawing a sword.